Hi, I'm Kate Tompkins. I'm a therapist in Nova Scotia. This is video 3 of a 3-part series called Breaking Free from Abusive Relationships. If you've not had a chance to watch videos 1 and 2, I'd suggest that you do so. I can give you the link if you get in touch with me to tell me that you want the link. I can send you the link to those first 2 videos. Now, I've been a therapist for 50 years, and I'm also an adult educator. And in that time, I have encountered many women who feel stuck, who are not sure how to get out of an abusive relationship. In my career, I have taught many people basic counseling skills. So I have taught basic counseling skills to people like nurses, social workers, child protection workers, drug and alcohol workers, union reps, folks like that. I've also helped women in remote northern communities in the high Arctic to establish a safe shelter in their community, and I've taught volunteers and staff how to help women. I've also taught people how to set up what's known as a peer counseling group. So this is a way in a community for people to help each other informally over a cup of coffee at the dining room table. And in all of those circumstances, I encountered many women and stories of many women who were in abusive relationships and not sure how to get out. Now, back in the 60s and 70s, yeah, I really am that old. Back in the 60s and 70s, those of us who called ourselves feminists worked hard to try and eliminate what we saw as power imbalances in relationships between men and women. And we were very hopeful at the time that we could eliminate domestic abuse, as it was called, or domestic violence, or partner violence, partner abuse, simply by educating people as to what was right and what was wrong. It turned out to be not quite that simple. And the fact is that abusive relationships in intimate partnerships still exist. And right now, during the COVID-19 isolation, there are lots of women who are, I'm sure, feeling totally trapped with their abuser in their homes in an abusive relationship. So my hope is that through these videos, I can help even just one person, one woman, to break free from her abusive relationship. I will be very, very happy. So I want to tell you, yes, you do have the power to break free. You can do it. With support, with information, with skills, you can break free from your abusive relationship. And these 3 videos will introduce to you the knowledge and skills that you will need in order to be able to do that. They will take you a little ways down the pathway towards a safe, wonderful life. So imagine just for a minute, imagine no more walking around on eggshells wondering what the heck's going to happen next. No more wondering when you come through the door whether you're going to be greeted by a smile and a hug and a kiss or the back of a fist. No more avoiding social relationships because you're not sure what he's going to do or say in front of your friends, or worse, later on when you get home. No more hiding in precarious places. No more lying to your friends and your co-workers about what's going on. No more hiding bruises with makeup. You can hold your head up high. You can be free. You can be safe. You can feel happy and satisfied and have a wonderful life. You can get your life back. You can be the woman that you knew and respected before. And you can either transform your relationship into a healthy, happy, respectful relationship, or if that becomes impossible, you can escape safely. You can create a wonderful, new, safe life for yourself and your children. Now, I'm very excited about the momentum that's building around this topic. There's a lot in the press, and there's a lot of people who have responded to me privately by email or by phone after having seen these videos and thanked me so much for what information is in them. So I'm really hoping that the information is of value to you too. Now, I'd like to give you a bit of a roadmap, an overall picture, if you like, about the entire process from beginning to end of breaking free. So first of all, I realize that we don't always have the luxury of the time to plan how to break free. Sometimes we break free simply because there's been a particularly violent episode and the police have been called and they escort you out and that's it, you're gone. A lot of women don't stay gone, though. A lot of women go back for 110 different reasons. And a lot of people, a lot of women are able to manage the relationship to the point where it's sort of tolerable, and they think that they can maybe stay in the relationship and work on it a little bit anyway. But if you have the luxury of some time to plan, it's a really good idea to prepare to make big changes in your relationship. We need to be at the top of our game, or as close as we can get to the top of our game, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, to be able to safely manage some of the big changes that will be required once you start thinking, I'm going to break free. So the first thing to do would be to have a good, hard, honest look at your relationship and assess, is my relationship abusive? Are my children being abused? And I have some tools to help you do that. The next thing you need to do is to state really clearly what the difference is between what you're getting and what you want, because often we kind of lose track of what a healthy relationship actually looks like because we feel like the relationship we're in is the only thing that we're ever going to see, the only thing we're going to ever have. We kind of lose track of what it can be. We kind of lose track of what a healthy relationship actually looks like. The next step would be to take a good hard look at your own mental health. Now, don't be too scared by this idea. You know, everybody who's involved in an abusive relationship has experienced extreme stress over and over and over and over again. So it's only natural that we would experience symptoms of post-trauma, for example, or some depression or some anxiety, or maybe all three. So that's really, really common. And it's not something you need to be ashamed of. It's as common as daisies in a field. And it's totally treatable with a little bit of support and a little bit of help and a little bit of commitment to treatment. So that's one of the steps that you probably want to think about, is to assess, how am I really? Am I okay? Am I ready to start on this big life change? The next thing you might want to take a look at is a regime of stress management techniques that work for you. Everybody's different. They've got their own favorites. Personally, I like a combination of walking outdoors in the fresh air and being able to smell trees and water, and something called self-regulation skills, which is a set of techniques that you can use to totally calm down your nervous system. Again, we don't have time to go into a lot of detail about that, but self-regulation skills is a set of tools that every woman should have in her relationship toolbox. And the other really important step in preparing is to create what's known as a safety plan. So this is your unique personal plan for keeping yourself safe no matter what happens. There's a lot of information or details that need to go into a safety plan, like if I have to leave, where will I go? What neighbors could I trust to help me or to help my children? What is the phone number of the local shelter? What's the phone number of the local police? There's many things that can go into your safety plan to keep you safe. And each woman's safety plan is going to be a little bit different because she has different circumstances, different needs. She lives in a different community. So that's the planning step. Now, the next step, you might be asking, yeah, okay, but what if I really do want to stay in this relationship and work on it? I think it might be worth saving. It used to be great, and there are times when he's wonderful. Well, if that's the case, it might be worthwhile learning a technique called how to create boundaries. It's useful in some kinds of circumstances. Again, we can't go into a lot of detail about how to do that and how to assess, but it's an important skill. Every relationship should have boundaries, and every woman should know how to set boundaries in her relationship. So I can teach you not only how to develop boundaries at work, but how to deliver them effectively and safely. And then the next step, once you have done that, is to assess, okay, how well did my boundaries work? Did my partner listen? Did he respect what I had to say? Did he promise to honor my boundaries? Can I trust that he will honor my boundaries? Has he broken any of my boundaries? Has he just stomped across my boundaries and just not paid any attention to what I want and what I feel at all? or is he trying? So there are various things that you can ask yourself, various questions that you can ask to assess how well did my boundaries work. So if your boundaries worked pretty well and your partner is trying to respect your boundaries and respect you, the relationship might be worth saving. But if your partner just laughs at you or immediately turns around and shows you how big and strong he is and throws you down to the floor just to prove, hey, you're never going to get away from me, if he breaks some of your boundaries, particularly what we call the higher level boundaries, then it's probably time for you to say, it's over, I need to go, I need to leave. So I can teach you how to make that assessment. So then, if you decide it's time for me to leave, how do you do that safely? Well, you need to create an escape plan. So your escape plan will have a lot of elements that are similar to your safety plan, but it's more specific and more particular. Okay, I'm going to call so-and-so at this number at this time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this person help me. I'm going to call the police and have them come and escort me out, help me pack up my stuff. There are many things that you can include in your escape plan. Again, it's unique to each woman, but there are certain kinds of information that you probably need to include in that escape plan. The next thing you need to do is to figure out, okay, what kind of help is available to me? There's lots of different help out there. There's tons of help. There are tons of people just ready and willing and able to help you. All they need is your request for help. There's help in the form of some police detachments, for example. When you call the police, the kind of reaction you get will depend a great deal on who happens to be on staff that day. But there are many police forces, in particularly the RCMP in Canada, and in most RCMP detachments, there's at least one person who has been trained in how to respond appropriately and safely to I think they call it a domestic disturbance. So if you can go to the police ahead of time and introduce yourself to that person so that they know who you are, they see your face, you can tell them what's going on in your relationship, then if you have to call in an emergency, they're a lot more likely to respond quickly and appropriately. That's one source of support for you. Another source of support would be your local women's advocacy program or your local women's shelter. They are the experts. They are the people who are trained to know how to deal with people, or with women in particular, who are experiencing abuse. So they are a really excellent resource for you to check out. You can also find online supports, and you can find local counseling supports. And there are some questions that you need to ask when you identify a counseling agency or a particular therapist to find out whether or not that person or that agency are a good fit for you and will give you the kind of support that you need. And I cannot overestimate enough how important it is to have supportive women friends. So one of the things that you can take a look at is how to develop a larger network of supportive women friends. They're absolutely, I would say, an essential part of your escape plan. Now, part of escaping safely is to make use of whatever legal protection orders are available in your area, in your province, or in your state. Now, I can't tell you a lot about those right now because they're different from place to place. But in Canada, we are most likely to encounter either a peace bond or a restraining order. Now, they each have different purposes to be used in different circumstances, and depending on where you are, either you can apply yourself for them, or you have to go through the RCMP, or perhaps a lawyer has to apply for them. So legal aid would be a good place to start to ask those questions, or a female lawyer would be a good place to go as well for information. Excuse me. But it's one of the things that you should consider is accessing those kinds of legal protection orders, and to know also that they're not a 100% protection because they come after the fact. So if your abuser should decide after you've told your abuser, no, you can't treat me like this anymore. After the protection order is in place, if your abuser comes near you or assaults you, then you can have them arrested based on the protection order, but it comes after the offense. So they're not a 100% help in all circumstances, but they can be a help, and they can be, a little bit of support for you. And something else you need to consider is what the experience of going to court will be like. So you need to prepare yourself for a court appearance. If you were going to charge, or if the police are going to charge your abuser for you, you may very well find yourself in court facing your abuser. So there are things that you can do in order to prepare for that event so that it won't be quite so scary, and so that it will be more successful and more supportive for you. So a lawyer would be a good place to start. There's also some online resources that can help as well. The next step is to take a look at creating your future. So this may be a little bit tough to look at, but you probably don't want to end up simply recreating the same kind of abusive relationship with somebody else. So one of the things to take a look at is your role in your relationship. What relationship dynamics you've been used to, what dynamics you grew up with in your home with your parents and your family of origin, what the dynamics have been in your relationship of abuse, and how have you managed yourself in those relationships. So there's a number of different ways that you can take a look at relationship patterns and your role, so that you don't end up recreating the same kind of relationship again. Also, you need to take a look at, how do I suss out relationship dynamics? You need to stay aware of what's going on in your new relationship. First of all, you need to pick a guy, you need to pick a partner who's going to be what you want. So it'll be a really good step to figure out what you're looking for in a new partner and what you're not looking for. A lot of us don't take that step, but if we don't know what we're looking for, how are we going to recognize it when we see it? So we need to figure out what we're looking for, what we're not looking for, and then we need to keep track of relationship dynamics and be aware always of some of the early signs of abuse. And I have a handout that can help you with that. If you're interested, just get in touch with me. There are things that you need to do to stay safe once you're away from your abuser. For example, you might want to have your children change schools and let the principal and the teachers know what's going on, just in case your abuser shows up at school and wants to take the kids away. It's a good idea also to change up your routine. So if you always do the same thing at the same time on the same day, change that around. So if you always go to church at 11 o'clock on Sunday, maybe pick a different time or a different church. If you always get your hair done on Thursdays, maybe pick a different day, maybe pick a different hairstylist. What you want to do is to make it difficult for your partner to find you again and to haul your behind back home. You don't want that. So you want to change up your routines to times and places and people that your abuser won't know about, won't be able to figure out where you've gone or where you are or what you're doing. And there's a lot of details that we can talk about in that regard as well. And lastly, an important part of creating a fresh, wonderful new life is to make sure that we get treatment for the residual emotional effects that are inevitable after having been in an abusive relationship. So you probably have experienced some trauma, and you may have PTSD, post-trauma symptoms. Totally treatable. You just need to find the right therapist. So that's something else you need to think about. But overall, it's doable. You can break free, and I can teach you how. Now, there's a lot of detail and information and skills that go into this this journey of breaking free, and it's more than we can cover in these 3 videos. Now, I have developed a comprehensive course, a 6-week course for online delivery that will teach you all that you need to know to break free from an abusive relationship. It's delivered online. It includes some private study. It includes some group chats on Zoom. It includes access to a private, secure Facebook group. so that you can support each other, gain support from other women who get you because they understand, because they're going through the same things themselves. And it includes some one-to-one coaching from myself. It also has a few bonuses as well. For example, there's a bonus module at the end called What About My Kids that will help you figure out how to inoculate your children against abuse. And there's also, if you wish it, access to much more detailed or in-depth one-to-one coaching if that's of interest to you as well. And all of this is designed to help you create a new, safe, wonderful, fantastic new life. Now, these videos are coming down in a few days so that I can focus on getting the course ready to deliver. The course doesn't start until this weekend. It starts on Saturday, the 23rd of May. And registration is open until Friday, the 21st. So if you're going to register, I'd suggest, oh, by the way, this course is open only to women, not to men. Sorry, guys. This course is open only to women. And there are a limited number of seats. So if you're interested in registering for this course, I'd suggest that you do it right away. I will post the link underneath the video in the comments section so that you can be linked directly to the registration page. Now the price, I've made the price quite doable at $47 per person. That's only during the COVID-19 isolation. After that, the next time I offer this course, the price will raise. So for right now, I wanted to keep it cheap so that it's available to anybody who needs it. So, if you are in an abusive relationship, or you think you might be, you're not sure, or if you know you're in an abusive relationship and you're not sure how to break free, this course is for you. This course is comprehensive. There's a lot of juicy detail about how to do all the things that I just talked about in my overall roadmap of the process. I think you'll find it a very interesting course and lots of fun. So I look forward to meeting you. Sign up or go to the link directly below this video in order to sign up. And I just can't wait to meet you. Talk to you later.